Hey besties, today we are going to sit down to make this video. I want us to feel very cozy as we talk about reflections. If you're a social work student or you're a social worker or your profession demands you completing some forms of reflections, then this video is just for you. When I was studying social work, reflection was something that I did not have so much understanding of. Now, what helped me was the fact that I naturally reflect a lot. I journal my emotions, I journal my thoughts. So that gave me an idea of what reflection meant. But then in social work, it's not just about you reflecting, but you critically reflecting. I wrote a reflective piece recently, and let me just read something that I wrote there. I said, reflection involves thinking about our experiences and reviewing how we can make changes in the future. So that is reflection, like when you're thinking of lots of things, you are pondering on things. Whilst critical reflection involves a more in-depth process of thinking and the conditions that shape the actions we take in practice and how we feel about them. So basically, critical reflection is not just you thinking about what happened, but you moving beyond description to analyzing and introspecting on your own personal values, your biases, your decisions, your interventions, ensuring that you provide support in a non-judgmental way. So that is my own definition of critical reflection. In learning about critical reflection as a social work student or a social worker, you would learn about the models of reflection, and in uni there were various models that they taught, or so I thought, until I completed my ASYE. By the way, as at right now, point of filming, I have completed my ASYE and I'm so proud of that. If you want to know lots of details about my personal life, go and check out my vlog channel called Adaz Lifestyle. But for my ASYE, when I completed it, I realized that I had learned a lot about models of reflection, and that's why I wanted to come and talk to you about models of reflection. If you want to learn more about reflective models, I highly recommend this resource by Siobhan McLean. Siobhan McLean is someone that I have studied when I was in uni, and I learned a lot from her YouTube channel. She has a YouTube channel, by the way, so you can go check her out. I learned a lot from her by just watching her and listening to her online resources, only for me to go to my company and it was one of the resources there. So this is not my personal copy, but if you want to get a personal copy, go on Siobhan's website to purchase it. I don't know if it's on Amazon, I'm not too sure, but I know that it's on Siobhan's website. So this is what it looks like. And there are about 52 reflective models here. Then there are some extra pieces that are just blank, and that is for you, the practitioner, to also create your model if you are able to. Then there is this guide to using the cards, so we'll keep this aside. Now, I'm not going to talk to you about the 52 reflective models because there are a lot. I'll just share with you the ones I can talk about. And of course, if you like this video, let me know and I can create a part 2. Obviously, we've been doing lots of topics in terms of our social work series, so we'll just continue from there. So basically, I'll be reading out Siobhan's summary of these cards. I think some of the models are even coined from her, so we'll just talk about them. And by the way, I don't think there is anything like a best model or a perfect model. Just pick whatever aligns to you, because I've learned that some of the models are very linear in their approach, so they are just straightforward, while some are very, I don't want to use the word scattered because that's not the right word, but they are very, what's the word? I'll say very layered or very different in their approach. But don't worry, as we go on, you would understand. Now, the first model we'll talk about, which is actually one of my favorite models, is Gibbs reflective model. Gibbs is a very popular one because some of these models are not popular, some are popular. Gibbs is quite popular. So for Gibbs, we have the description of the event, your feelings and thoughts, evaluation, analysis, conclusion, and action plan. So Gibbs reflective model is a continuous cycle. When reflective with Gibbs, it follows 6 stages. You first start by describing what happened, who else was there, why were they there, basically what happened and why it happened. The second stage is your feelings and your thoughts. Here you reflect on what you were thinking and feeling at the time of the event happening. Then the third stage is the evaluation. So here you'll be thinking about the positive things and negative things about what happened. Fourth stage is the analysis stage, and here you would make wider links and draw on the knowledge that you've gathered from what happened. The fifth stage is the conclusion. Here you would basically reflect and explore what you would have done differently if a similar situation is presented to you in the future. Then the last stage is the action planning stage. Here you consider how you would apply your learning from the reflection you've done to your future practice. So that is Gibbs model. Now there is nothing like a good model or a bad model. It just depends on you. But as we talk about these models, I'm going to rate them, and I'm not rating them on the basis of whether they are good or bad. I'm rating them based on my own standards and my own reflective style. So I'll rate them based on 1 to 10. 1 means I am not likely going to use this kind of model. Then 10 meaning I would most likely use this kind of model. Now, because this is a model I've used and is one of my most common ones, I'm going to rate it an 8. Yes, I know you thought I rated it a 10. No, I'm not doing 10 here for Gibbs. I would have even given it a 7, but we'll give it an 8. An 8 because I love the fact that it is just sequential. I think I work better with models that are sequential than models that are all over the place. But why I'm not rating it higher than 8 is because still, even despite the fact that it is sequential, it still has lots of steps. So you know what, I'm not going to explain my rating. I'll just tell you and rate it. So I rate it an 8. What would you rate Gibbs? The second model is head, heart and hands. So basically your head, your heart and your hands. I almost forget where my hands were. So head, what knowledge did you draw on? Heart, how did you feel, or how did the services feel? Your hands, what did you do? What skills did you use? So basically, when reflecting, you'll use these 3 aspects. Now, a fourth one has been added, which is fit. And that means, how did the social work profession ground your practice? For instance, what were your values? What were your standards? So that's it for head, heart and hands. It's a good one. I'm going to be rating it 3. I'm not likely to use it. It just does not feel aligned to me. Third one, Bowed, K and Walker. I may be mispronouncing the name, please pardon me. So this model talks about experience, reflective process and outcomes. So experience, what were your behavior, your ideas, your feelings? Reflective process, after talking about the experience, you now reflect, turn back to the experience. Then finally the outcome. So what new perspective do you have on the experience? So this is a good one. I'll rate it a 1. I wouldn't be using it. The next model is the what, why and how. This is very straightforward. What, you saying what the reflection is, what is happening. Why, you saying why the reflection is important in social work. Then how did you deal with the situation? This is very straightforward. So this one, I would have given it a higher score because I like things that are straightforward, but I'll give it a 5 because what, why and how seems to me like too procedural. It does not truly tap into the emotions of the practitioner, so that's why I'll give it a 5. Now the next model is a deep model, and it's spelled as DIEP. The D stands for describe. So describe what happened, what did you do, what did other people do. The I stands for interpret. How do you feel it went and what ideas did you draw on? The E is for evaluate. So evaluate what was good, what was not so good. Is there anything that worked particularly well? What have you learned? Then the P is for plan. What can you do differently in the future? What support do you need to do this? So I think this is a very straightforward one. Interestingly, I've never used this model, but I actually like it. I feel it makes sense. It's straightforward and it would allow you to talk about some things. So I would rate this a 9 or an 8. I would rate this a 9. Yeah, I think I like models that just talk about what happened, why did this happen, how do you feel, then what can you take forward. That's just my perfect kind of model, so I think this works very well for me. Now to see the way I'm smiling because this is my best model, I think. Okay, if I knew about these deep models, that would be my best, but I did not know. This one is just what, so what, now what. I love it. It's very straightforward. So I call it the Driscoll's model, but originally it was invented by someone called Terry Burton, then later on developed by Driscoll and Rolfe. What happened? What did you do? What did others do? What were you trying to achieve? Then so what are your feelings now? So what were the effects of the actions? So what is the importance of this? So what have you learned? Then now what do you need to do? Now what different options do you have? Now what help do you need to action your learning and reflection? And that is it. It's very straightforward. 9 over 10. I'm not giving anyone 10 over 10, so don't bother. And the reason why I'm not giving anyone 10 over 10 is sometimes you think a reflective model is perfect, only for you to now reflect. You now be like, maybe let me use another model. So there's always room to, improve. Something I heard Siobhan say is that when you use different models, you would find out that you would even have different reflective pieces. So for instance, if you reflect on something using the Driscoll's model and I reflect on that thing using the Deep's model, most likely we may be saying very different things because we are drawing on different things. So depending on the particular piece of work you're trying to reflect on, different models would be applicable. So I don't think I found any model that I would say is universal that I would always want to use. The last reflection I did, I used the Driscoll's model, but the one before that, I felt Driscoll's model did not really answer lots of my questions, so I used the Gibbs model. So it just is like that. Another one is the 4Fs. Basically 4Fs: facts, feelings, findings, futures. Fact, what is known. Feelings, how do you feel about it? How do other people feel about it? Findings, what conclusions can be drawn? Futures, what have you learned? Very straightforward. I give it 8 over 10. If you are a practitioner that you are very different from me, let me know what you think about my scoring, and you can score them in the comment section. And of course, if you are enjoying this video and you want to see more videos like this, I want you to put a like button so I can be motivated to create more videos like this, because you know that videos like this are not usually the go-to because they are very academic heavy, but I actually enjoy it and I'm a little nerdy. So so the next one is Kolb's learning cycle. This is quite popular in academia. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a cycle like this. So the first is what was the event, so what concrete experience happened. The next is what were your personal thoughts and feelings about the experience, which is a reflective observation. The next is called abstract conceptualization. How can you draw on previous experiences and your knowledge? The last is active experimentation. If this event were to occur again, what would you do differently? What additional knowledge do you need to gain? I'll give this a 2 because it sounds very abstract to me. Even though I theoretically get the point, I understand it, I would not likely be using it because even pronouncing it, I could barely pronounce it. So as you can see, I like reflective models that are just easy. I don't like stress. I'm not saying it's stressful, but of course there are people that would naturally gravitate towards it. The next one is Kothagen and Vassallo's onion model. Basically, I've heard about the onion model, and just like an onion, we have various layers. The outer layer is the environment. So what do you encounter? What are you dealing with? What impact does the environment have on the situation and your practice? The next is behavior. What did you do? How did you behave? How might people have viewed your behavior? The next is competencies. What are you competent at? Is there anything that needs to be developed further. The next is beliefs. So what are your values and beliefs, and what impact does it have in practice? The next is identity. Who are you? How do people see you? Who else is involved? The next is mission. So what inspires you? Why are you a social worker? To what extent is that mission evident in what you do? Now for this model, I feel like it's a niched model. It's one that can be relevant in some respects. I would rate it a 1. I'm not likely to use it personally. So that's that. And then the last one is the big 6. So it just comes like 6 like this. I think this is one of Siobhan's personal models that she coined. I think so. She's saying that here, critical reflection is made up of 6 key components. You rethinking or deconstructing power, you having an awareness of values and the implications, you exploring emotions and developing emotional intelligence, you drawing on knowledge or developing new knowledge, you developing self-awareness and the impact of self in practice, creating uncertainty through dynamic reflective questioning, and being unwilling to live with that uncertainty. Now, I think this model, it's hard for me to rate it because this model sounds like one that will be very useful when dealing with things that concern maybe trauma, power dynamics, intersectionality, and lots of emotional work. I think this is good for that. But I think for my general reflections, I would most likely not use it. But if I'm reflecting on things that have very strong emotional pull, then I'll use it. So I'm going to rate it a 5 on the basis of whether I would likely use it or not. So it just depends. And those are the 10 reflective models that I'll be sharing with you today. Of course, as I mentioned, there are a lot more. I would implore you to read more on this or go buy a copy of these cards and just experiment. You never know the one that would align with you. And of course, if you need some form of conversations with me and you want to book a one-on-one session with me, the link to book is in the description box. Click the link, you will see all my services and you can book for any. And of course, if you have questions, let me know. And until next time, my loves, stay blessed, remain happy, and bye, besties.